They grew up with bomb craters still scarring their streets, cupboards perpetually empty. Winters froze pipes solid, summers offered not a single electric fan. And yet, they walked to school without complaint. They learned to mend what was broken, to make do with what little they had, and to endure without a word of grievance, because complaining simply wasn't done. If you were born in 1950s Britain, your childhood was forged in conditions that would make today's generation shiver. This is the story of why your parents and grandparents became some of the toughest people this country has ever produced. The Second World War had ended, but its shadow stretched across every street, every home. Entire neighborhoods lay in rubble, families crammed into whatever shelter survived, and the nation itself was exhausted, barely able to stand. Factories were still rebuilding, coal shortages left homes in darkness, and ration books dictated every meal. Children born in the early 1950s entered a world that had to be reconstructed from the ground up, a world where every brick mattered, every nail counted, and every scrap of metal could not be wasted. Their playgrounds were bomb sites, littered with broken bricks and twisted steel. Their toys were scraps, carefully salvaged and transformed into rudimentary playthings. And their earliest memories were of adults who carried the weight of exhaustion and grief, whose faces seemed permanently etched with worry lines. There were no therapists, no support groups, no recognition of what we would now call collective trauma. You simply got on with life, because there was no alternative. Fathers who had witnessed horrors beyond imagination never spoke of them. Mothers who had lost siblings, friends, and neighbors carried grief silently, their resilience quietly imparted to their children. That quiet endurance seeped into every child before they even learned to walk. Rationing and scarcity. Food rationing persisted long after. The war's end, not lifted until 1954. Children born in 1950 were already 4 years old before meat, sweets, and other basic luxuries were freely available. Scarcity was ingrained into their very being. Meals were daily miracles, conjured from a few ounces of this and a handful of that. Drippings spread thick on bread. Tripe and onions simmered for hours. Every part of the animal used, nothing wasted. Children learned early that hunger was life itself. They ate what they were given, never asking for more. The habit of conserving, of valuing what little they had, remained long after abundance arrived. Even in overflowing supermarkets, they cleared their plates, distressed at the sight of waste. Leftovers were never thrown away. Every crumb counted. Homes were cold. Central heating was a luxury in rich people's homes, seen only in the movies. Most households had a single fire in the front room, the rest of the house a frozen expanse. Bedrooms froze solid, ice forming thick on. Windows, patterns carved with fingernails. Dressing in the morning was an exercise in endurance. Children would grab frozen clothes, run to the fire for a few seconds of warmth, then finish dressing before the chill stole it away. Hot water bottles, wrapped in old jumpers, were treasured companions, keeping children alive through long, bitter nights. Baths were a rare weekly event. The family shared the same water, eldest to youngest, the last child climbing in with water barely lukewarm, often gray, but never a complaint. Outside toilets remained common. Imagine being 5 years old in January, needing the toilet at 3 in the morning. You left a warm bed, stumbled down pitch-black stairs, crossed a freezing yard in bare feet, and sat on a wooden seat so cold it clung to your skin. Spiders lurked everywhere. Newspapers nailed to the wall served as toilet paper. There was no comfort, no warmth, only necessity. And in learning to endure this, these children developed a resilience that modern kids rarely see. If this makes you shiver, hit like. It shows you appreciate their resilience. The cane was not optional. It was essential. Teachers wielded it freely. Its echoed down corridors a reminder that consequences were immediate and real. Speaking back, questioning authority, stepping out of line, unthinkable. Handwriting had to be perfect, uniforms immaculate. Even a crooked collar or dirt under fingernails could earn a trip to the headmaster's office. The result, a generation that instinctively respected hierarchy, valued effort over entitlement, and understood the weight of responsibility from a young age. Childhood itself was work. Children delivered newspapers before school, helped in family businesses, toiled on farms, and carried out domestic duties that would now be considered child labor. Saturdays were not for leisure. They were for earning pocket money, assisting neighbors, and performing chores. Boredom was nearly unknown. There was always something useful to do. Medical care was limited. The NHS was still finding its feet, and children didn't visit doctors for minor ailments. Remedies were homemade, often brutal. Goose fat rubbed on chests, bread poultices for infections, saltwater gargles for sore throats. Dentistry was harsh. Extractions were standard, often without anesthesia. Pain was endured silently. Sickness tested character. Survival was not optional. Entertainment had to be created. No television, no video games, no streaming services. Cardboard boxes became spaceships, sticks became swords, streets became playgrounds. Hopscotch, British bulldog, knockdown ginger. Games demanded imagination, collaboration, and energy. Reading was treasured. The wireless brought the family together in the evenings. This culture of creativity and independence shaped children into inventive, social, and resilient adults. Comment the street games or books you loved as a child. Adults were addressed formally. Respect was automatic, never questioned, and woven into every interaction. You said sir and madam, Mr. and Mrs., even to neighbors you knew well. Correction came from every corner of the community. Neighbors, shopkeepers, and family friends held children accountable just as firmly as parents. Authority extended far beyond the home. The police on the streets, teachers in classrooms, doctors in surgery, and clergy in church all commanded unquestioned deference. Children absorbed social intelligence almost instinctively, learning the unspoken rules of hierarchy, etiquette, and conduct. Most importantly, they learned a lesson no classroom could teach. Life was difficult, often unfair, sometimes painfully so, and complaining changed nothing. Circumstances could not be chosen, only responses shaped. Resilience was absorbed, not taught, through daily experience. Watching parents endure long hours, witnessing neighbors survive loss and hardship, and discovering over and over that they themselves were capable of enduring genuine adversity. Think about the lessons you learned from hardship. Share them below. The 1950s forged a generation unlike any before or since. Born into the aftermath of history's worst conflict, raised in real hardship, disciplined by standards that today might seem cruel, they became some of Britain's toughest people. They built the nation, worked jobs long gone, raised families on meager wages, and never expected recognition for doing what had to be done. Their resilience, stoicism, and ingenuity remain a legacy often underappreciated. We owe them more than we often acknowledge. Final CTA. What do you remember most about growing up in tougher times? What lessons from that era do you still carry with you today? Drop your memories in the comments below, because these stories deserve to be heard, remembered, and honored.